And we're on.
And we're live.
Yeah, we're live with a very, very, very first show.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Hot 702.5 FM. Welcome to our very first show, Showtime with Jordan Von Haslow and friends. I'm your host, Jordan Von Haslow, and I'm going to introduce you to some friends very, very shortly. When we first approached about doing this show, what we decided we wanted to do was tackle entertainment issues. I shouldn't say tackle entertainment issues. We want to gossip and have fun. But talk about entertainment, talk about pop culture issues, but not from the point of view of the audience, but from the point of view of the insider. And I've worked in show business all my life, and I thought, how fun would it be to bring my friends on board, entertainers, producers, makeup artists, whatever they may be, stage hands, gaffers, key grips, I don't know, and talk about some of these wonderful issues. And we thought how awesome it is because just a few days ago, the Grammys recorded a salute to Prince. Oh my goodness, I know a few people who've worked with Prince in various points of his career, so why don't we launch the show and do that? So today I have with me, and those of you who are actually watching live, sitting to my left is the fabulous Elisa Fiorillo.
It's such a hard name.
Elisa Fiorillo.
Elisa.
And we also have on the line Ann Carwell. Ann, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, my dear. I'm so glad you could join us.
Hi, Elisa.
Hi.
I'm so sad you couldn't join us in person, but I'm so happy to have you calling in. And a little later, Jellybean Johnson's going to dial in as well. And I think he went to the taping. So I want to hear all the gossip. You didn't go, did you?
I was invited. Sheila wanted me to sing, but it happened to fall on my daughter's 14th birthday and her big audition at Las Vegas Academy High School.
Oh.
So I couldn't leave
awesome.
my daughter
How
and
exciting.
leave for
That's
rehearsal.
right.
So I chose family over work.
Oh, that's nice. I went to an arts high school.
Oh,
it
you
was
did?
so cool.
It's so
It
cool.
was
I've
so cool.
always wanted to go to one.
What did she audition? Is she a music major or going to be a
She's
training
going
music
for
major?
dance,
Okay.
but she's an amazing singer. She actually got the lead role in The Wizard of Oz at her school.
Yay!
It's coming up, so you got to
That
go.
is
That's
so
absolutely.
My little Judy.
Yay! That's thrilling. Well, that's cool. And what are you up to, Ann? Why didn't you go on Tuesday?
Well, I had to work myself. I had my own band and gig, so we were busy doing that, and getting ready to leave to go to Wendover to do like 5 days there. So just preparing in a large band, when you're kind of new, you kind of want to focus on that.
Yeah.
And but I see Sheila and Beck and them and a lot of them when I go to Minnesota and they're performing or I'm performing. So, but I sure hate that I did miss it. I did want to go to that.
Me too.
That would have been beautiful.
Yeah. Well, Jellybean is going to tell us a little bit about it. But going back, because you're talking about Minnesota, and I think it's so fascinating. I want to hear how your career started, because your career, I know you were singing in like bands and such, but your career kind of took off to the next level when you met Prince, right?
Correct. Yes. I actually I was about 16 years old, and I used to sing at this club called the Elks. They would have these gong shows. You know how they have the open mics now? Well, they had gong shows where they would literally gong you. So I would go there, and I'd win like every... I'd always win, so they put me in the band. So I was a regular singer in the band. And I had met Andre Simone. Andre said, I want you to meet somebody. I think he's going to just love you. And so he brought Prince down, which I was just like very nervous and didn't know because he was very quiet. Mm-hmm. So
that quiet side of him.
Yeah, very quiet.
I wonder what he's thinking.
Yeah, I didn't know if he liked my singing. I was kind of like intimidated. You know what I mean? When you meet, superstar status already. So we got together, started recording some songs, and he wanted to name me Susie Stone.
I know the story so well.
He wanted to name me Susie Stone. And so we did these demos.
Was this, I hate to interrupt you, was this before or after you fell down the stairs?
This is before. Oh.
Did you fall down the
Okay,
stairs?
now you want to talk about falling down the stairs. Okay, so
did you
real
fall
quickly,
on a stone? Because is that where he got it? No.
Okay, going back real quickly, I have a pretty large family, and they're all comical and crazy. So when I came home from the Elks after meeting Prince, I told my sister, "Oh, I met this guy Prince. He's about to be big, and oh, he's so fine." And so I said, "You got to make me look good. He's coming to take me to to lunch tomorrow." And so she got me all dressed up, in this sundress, these little sandals. I was looking, when I look back at it now, I was like, how corny that dress looks. But so my mother, who didn't care if you were a star or not, we came in, he was very quiet, and she was looking at him like, do you want some food, or do you need, sit over there? Why don't you sit down? He wouldn't sit down. He just stood by the door. So my sister said, well, come on, he's here, So my mother has a long flight of stairs. So this particular staircase, I was doomed from the beginning meeting him. Got to the top of the stairs. Somehow I slipped and rolled down about 32 stairs.
Oh.
It was to the bottom of the stairway. He just literally looked and didn't even crack a smile. I said,
I know that look.
Yeah, you know that look, don't you, Lisa?
Yes, I do. Because I fell on stage a couple times.
Yes, he literally looked at me and did not crack a smile. And so I was so embarrassed. My brother David was laughing at me. Everybody in the house was laughing. So, I just took it like a champ and hoped that, I didn't lose my position with Prince. So
and you didn't, because he said, "Oh my God, that clumsy girl, I want her to be Susie Stone."
Absolutely. So we ended up going to lunch, and she was asking me, questions about, do you want to be a superstar, blah, 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 blah. He said some really great wisdom, whatever you do, go the other way. You might not be a star, but you'll be recognized quicker. So we did these songs at a studio called Sound 80 back in the 80s. This is a long time ago. Great studio. He took them to Warner Brothers, and his point person who signed him, Russ Tyrett, Mo Austin, and them, they were like, she sounds just like you. So came back. He said, I'm going to put you in my band. But it wasn't even the Revolution yet. It was just me, Andre, Matt, Bobby Z, and Gail Chapman, the original band. So he had his home friend, who he used to be in Grand Central with, Hollywood they called him, William Dowdy, to teach me conga, because I already was a drummer, because my father's a drummer, my father played around, my brother's a drummer, so I already had the instinct of, of percussions and congas and stuff like that. But it kind of did a turn for me. I kind of went to the rehearsals, and it was kind of boring, and he was kind of dressed in a little bit too provocative for me.
For you.
And yeah, he was dressed a little bit in rehearsal. I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know about shorts and G-string. I don't know about it.
Not like J-Lo and Shakira last night at the Super Bowl.
So long story short, I just kind of was like, I want to be on my own. I don't want to be in this band. So he tried to find me, but I was like MIA so fast. Wow. Then his manager, who was managing him, Owen Husney, I was playing at a dive called the Cato Lounge, where it was like all gangsters, hookers, prostitutes would be in this club.
Let's go.
And yeah, let's go. And so I was playing in this club one night, and these three Jewish guys came in the club, and it was like, I was looking at them like, don't you know that you are about to be killed in this place here? These people, them black people were looking at them like, what up? But they came in like they didn't even care. I think they tipped the guy who owned it and came in, and it was Owen Husney, the manager who signed Prince originally. He said, and we have a record deal for you already. I was like, really? yeah, we have a record deal for you.
Bring back
But
the good old days.
what I didn't know is it was basically a trade-off because Prince didn't want to work with Owen and them no more. And so Russ Direct said, well, listen, we'll take Prince, pay you off, and whatever artist you bring me, we'll sign him. And so it was me.
And then you were off to Warner Brothers Records, and the rest is
I was off
history.
to Warner Brothers Records, and then by the time the record was done, I was broke, came home. I didn't have nowhere to live. I was still living back at home.
Tale as old as time.
They could be advanced. You know, I had a semi-hit around town called Company. It was a Ricky Lee Jones cover. And I just kind of started back in the band around town. And then I finally got really fed up, you know, with the whole idea of I'm just not going to be a superstar. You know, I'm young. I'm 18, 19, something like that. So I just finally picked my bags up. I think I had one bag and moved to L.A. and never looked back and started, you know, a career and just met just at all the stars, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I think is so amazing, how you then went on to, because I don't know if you know much about Sue Ann's background, but she was the vocal arranger and has sung background on, like I said, as I was like, when I first met her, I said, oh my God, you're like the soundtrack to like my entire high school year. Like there's like no song that she wasn't a part of from like 1995 until like the early 2000s, right? You were working with Diane Warren, right? You were like on her staff as the go-to.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you meet her?
Well, I worked with everybody, huh?
How'd you meet Diane?
I met Diane through a friend of mine named Jimmy Randolph, who produced my last MCA record, Painkiller. He had an office up there in Diane's floor. And I went up there to just, you know, I just went up there to see him, say hi. And so I went up there talking to him, and I was getting ready to leave, and I see this crazy-looking woman running across the hallway, like in sweat stuff and hyper.
Like sweat? You mean like a sweat, like sweatpants, sweatshirt?
Yeah, pants, sweatshirt. Just, you know, I was like, who is that crazy lady? He said, oh, she's the woman that's going to save your career right now. I'm getting ready to introduce you to her. So he said, Diane, come here. She came over. He said, I want you to meet a great singer. He said, you can sing? And I looked at Jimmy, you know, as to say, you know, well, Jimmy, yeah, she sings. And then the next word she said was, before I can even say my name, she said, can you be at Banana Boat tomorrow at 3 o'clock to sing a demo for me?
Banana Boat was her office.
I bet I heard demos of yours.
I'm sure you did.
Record companies would be playing me all kinds of Diane Warren songs, pitching her. And there was always a great singer, so it was probably you.
Most definitely. So you go to Banana Boat the next day, and tell us about that.
Well, I went to Banana Boat where, you remember I was telling you about Guy Roche, who produced like a lot of the Selena album, and he's done he has quite a bit of, you know, catalog of songs he's produced. And so I went there, and the first thing that was in front of me was this, like, almost kind of like a spiritual song. And I was like, okay, this lady must be gospel. She's getting ready to load me up with, because I didn't know her. I didn't know she worked in Cher. I didn't know she did all of this stuff. You know, I just thought she was just a woman trying to write. So, you know, I didn't even take her serious.
Wow. She wrote for Aerosmith.
I didn't even take the woman serious. And so I go in the studio, I meet her, I meet him. She never heard my voice. She don't even know if I can sing. Next thing you know, I'm behind the console, the vocal booth, and there's a lyric sheet. And she's trying to sing it to me in like 5 different keys. I'm like, this woman's tone deaf. I can't even understand what she's saying. Long story short, it was Celine Dion, Because She Loved Me.
Oh, wow.
It was the demo. And so I started, you know, honing in on this demo, and I said, hey, I got arrangements for this. I could do the arrangements, you know, and she had this other go-to cat named Chris Kello, this amazing producer. Chris pretty much did a lot of it, but he never got the credit he should have. But long story short, I arranged the whole record. When I came out, she said, do you think it's a hit? And I said, I know, it's going to be your number one song.
Wow.
And it became her number one. She called me to do the masters. And see, and the thing about doing demos for these artists is like Celine and Brandy and all them, they don't change one thing you do. Mm. They might do one little,
lick
huh?
Oh, like a lick different?
Yeah, they'll do one lick ad-lib, but every demo has me spirit all over it because they never change nothing. So that Celine Dion song, Because You Love Me, she copied every single note I did.
Wow.
From top to bottom. She didn't waver. She didn't. And so after that, I couldn't get rid of Diane. Diane was hounding me every day.
I just remembered the song that I sang of Diane's, and we never put it out, but I bet you did the demo.
Probably, right?
It was called I'll Be Wishing on the Same Star, looking at the same moon. When you look at me, baby, I'll be looking at you. Did you ever sing that?
Sing, child.
But I bet it was you who did the demo. I'm like sitting here going, I wonder if she did the demo. That'd be funny. I remember that song.
I don't think I've heard. I don't think so. But
no. You probably would. It's so funny because I'll be riding like in a car with her, and like a song will come on. She'll be like, "Oh, I think I did that."
Oh wow.
Like,
that's crazy.
Oh my God.
I told him one night I thought I had 25 Grammys, and I was so serious. And he immediately went and checked. He's like, no.
She does not have 25 Grammys, but she has multiple platinum albums and multiple gold albums. And I was saying, I really think you should it's time for you to do a one-woman show. And I think it's so fascinating because you have that song. You have what? Name some of your hits. Name some of the hits.
Have you ever, Brandy?
Wow.
The Strength in Me, Whitney Houston, Learn from the Best, Whitney Houston, man, the Coyote Ugly movie. I mean, Monica, Barbara Streisand. I mean, I can't even.
And I think that would be an amazing one-woman show because it's not a tribute show. It's actually her catalog. And so I think that would be really fabulous. So we need to work on that. But until we do, tell us.
Unbreak My Heart. Unbreak My Heart.
Unbreak My Heart.
That one. That little chestnut.
Yeah.
So tell us what you've been doing and tell us all about your new band, which I have seen like 8 times over the last month, and they're fabulous.
Here in Vegas?
I know you're such my biggest fan. You hold the banner for me. I love you, George.
I'm in the back with my lighter. So tell us about the band. She's with Treasure and Dreamstone. You know Dreamstone and Treasure.
I'm with Treasure and Dreamstone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so beautiful, man, because I just love this dude, man. I mean, we are so much alike. We are like kindred spirits. It's just ironic how we just. I just kind of me and you, we floated into the Rampart, and he's like, he called me up, and then he called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, do you want to be in the band? I was like, yeah. So.
And the rest is history. So you guys.
But I didn't realize that a man with so much energy as he has, I would be doing all of these kick steps and combination steps. I'm like, oh my word, I gotta be like a leaping chicken, man, with this guy. 'Cause I'm telling you, it's no joke being with him. I mean, he's hardcore. It's like boot camp, but the results just so amazing.
Well, I think what's so great about them and his whole show is that they play all of these lounges, but it's a production. Like it's not just like, okay, let's sing a song and now let's kind of turn around and figure out what we're gonna do next. Like they just go and they go and they go. I think it's really amazing. So where are you guys gonna be? I know you were just at the East Side Cannery. Where are you gonna be next?
We will be at the Cabo Friday and Saturday.
This Friday and Saturday at Cabo?
Yeah, at the Fiesta at the Cabo Lounge.
Okay, wonderful.
And then we leave and go to Wendover next week for about 6 days, and then we're like getting ready to open up the Climax and do some stuff in Ontario, California. So, yeah, that's where I'll be. So if you want to find me,
awesome. So
I'll
I guess
be
I have to
there.
go schlep down to the Fiesta this Friday and come check you out. Do you know what time you guys are on?
I think like 8:30.
8:30?
Yeah, first of all, I just got to tell you guys something. I haven't done 4 or 5 sets since 1978.
Wow.
This is a whole workout.
4 or
thing.
5 sets?
You're like, sets of what?
This is like the last time I did 4 or 5 sets, it was me, Jesse Morris, and Alexander O'Neill. We were making $35 a weekend.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Doing 4 sets at the Macarena in Minnesota.
And you stayed in show business.
I just went on and stayed.
I'd have gone to like dental school or something.
What else? What else do I want to do with my life? I mean, if you're not in show business, you got to be in show business.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're if you're an entertainer, what else would you want to do? Or make people happy and perform for people, you know?
Yeah. Well, we are going to come and check you out at the Fiesta. Thank you for calling in, Sue-Ann.
Love you.
I love you. Thank you for calling in, and I will chat with you very, very soon.
Okay, Alicia, thank you so much. I hope to see you. Congratulations to your daughter.
Oh, thank you. And I'll come see you at the Fiesta. Maybe if I can get out. If I can get a babysitter.
Yes, and Jordan, you are the best. Congratulations on your new show.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll talk to you a bit.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So sweet.
She's so sweet. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think that's just so fascinating. I remember when we first became friends and she was telling her background. I just thought that's so, it's so much about this business is not just about like talent. I think it's also about timing. Because, I was saying to her, it's like, okay, if you weren't born in Minneapolis, and if you were born in Minneapolis, but like were born just a few years earlier, a few years later, that would have been an entirely missed connection.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like a Kevin Bacon experience
right?
just now. I'm like, Diane Warren, wait a minute. Yeah, no. And meeting Prince and her whole story totally relates kind of to how I met him and how it all went down and
tell me
how he tried to get me to change my name.
Oh, yeah? So we had
and
Susie
he wanted me to be a
Stone
female version of him. It just all sounds so similar. But yeah, I was on Star Search. Before Star Search, I had done a Broadway show.
Okay.
And the producer of that show was an entertainment lawyer. So when I got on Star Search, which I had auditioned for like 50,000 kids, and they picked 4, and I was one of the 4.
Okay.
And so I had moved to California with my mother. We drove across country. We set up in my uncle's motorhome outside his house. That's where we were living. And we get the call that they were going to fly us out, put us in a hotel, give us a car, the whole 9 yards. But because we lived within 100 miles of L.A.,
oh no,
we weren't given anything.
Ah!
Yeah, so I had to just drive myself to Star Search, rehearsals. But I was on it, and then I won. And then I had this record producer.
That's wait, I want to back up though.
What?
So who lost? Anybody famous? Did you beat anybody good?
No, not really. Actually, I beat one of my friends that I actually auditioned with a lot in New York. We were managed by the same manager, so it was kind of bittersweet because I felt bad, and she's a great singer. So, but yeah, I won the Junior Star Search. I got approached. It was like, sign here, and my mom and I were both scared, so we called this entertainment lawyer that had produced the Broadway show. She looked at it. She said, "Don't do it. It doesn't look good. Let's take your tape around and see what we can do." So she shopped my Star Search tape, and I got a deal with Chrysalis.
Okay.
So Jellybean Benitez was doing his record, and he needed singers. And so they put me together with him because he was also on Chrysalis. So I did Who Found Who, which was a top 10. It was actually a #1 dance hit for a couple years.
Yay.
But it was so funny when they'd introduce it on the radio. They'd say, "A new song by Jellybean," and I'd be in the car going,
"Wait a minute.
Wait a second. What about me? I sang the darn thing." And so, he got all the recognition. It was not nice, but I did get to see the world, and I got to tour and do, the fake track dates, which was so weird to me. Like, it wasn't really the music business as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I toured with him.
How so? Like what did you?
Because it
what
was
did you
tracks,
think?
and Jellybean didn't play a single instrument, yet he was on stage pretending to play piano and saxophone. And I'm like, boy, you're talented. But and then he'd hire these models to be background singers that were lip singing and looking really pretty at it, and a model that was an ex-Playboy bunny playing saxophone, you know. So it was weird. It was like, this is the music business, you know. So after that whole situation, I did my first record, and it came out. I worked with Gardner Cole, who produced Madonna. And so it was like, and Reggie Lucas, who did the first Madonna Borderline Lucky Star record. So I worked with some great people. And then the second record came out. I worked in Minnesota. I worked with David Z, who's Bobby Z's brother.
Right.
And David produced The Jets, Fine Young Cannibals, Jody Watley. So I was in good hands, and I started writing songs, and one day Prince kind of came in the studio, and he had been on tour, so I had never seen him there. Okay. And I wasn't a big Prince fan, so when he came in, it was like, oh, that's Prince. Like, oh, okay. And he's like, is that you singing? I said, yes. He said, sing for me, I don't believe it's you. And I said, okay. So I went in and I started singing, and he said, meet me in Studio B. And I said, okay. So I'm like, where's Studio B? Went to Studio B, and I sang on Party Man on the Batman soundtrack.
Yeah.
I really wasn't singing, I was breathing. He had me breathe.
Okay.
I was like, you want me to breathe? And he's like, yes, go. I'm like, wow, music business. So then
we're not on Broadway anymore, are we?
No. So he then had me, he just kept coming around, and he one day put down a cassette tape. Back in the days we had cassettes. And it said Darling Nikki on it. And I said, those are your songs. And he said, so you do know who I am? And I went, yeah, am I supposed to treat you differently or something? And he's like, no, it's okay. And he loved that I just treated him very much. I'd hit him in the arm, and he'd say, will you stop hitting me? And I'm like, I'm Italian, I talk with my hands. So he and I started writing. He kept saying how important it was to be a writer, that an artist was great and everything, but you're going to make your money being a writer.
Right.
So he said, go home and write lyrics, and I'll grade them in the morning. So I brought him back, and he put a big red F on it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, no, they're good.
That's so funny. Talk about graduate school, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of scary. I was in my little Hotel Sofitel writing lyrics. And we wrote On the Way Up, which was my first single. So I wrote that with him and Levi Caesar, who was his guitar player. Yeah. And then we did, I did a video and did the whole thing, and he wanted me to sign to Paisley Park.
Okay.
He wanted to steal me. And first, he didn't say Paisley Park. He said, I want you to meet with Benny Medina. And I said, all right. And I'm thinking, Warner Brothers, that's a better label than Chrysalis, right? Because Chrysalis had all rock acts. Right. And they didn't know how to promote me, because I was like,
that was like Slaughter was on Chrysalis, right?
Yeah, Billy Idol, Pat Benatar, Huey Lewis, Sinead O'Connor. Living in a box. And so I ended up going and doing this record, and what was I saying?
You were saying he wanted to steal you, and he's like, I want you to meet with Benny Medina.
So I had the meeting, and he's like, Prince would like to sign you to Paisley, and I said, oh. And he's and it was because, now just hear me out. He had no success on that label, and I was scared. I wanted a bigger label.
Totally.
I didn't want a smaller label, and so I told him no. And then Prince wasn't too happy about it. So then he said, well, why don't you join my band? And I said, no, I want to be a singer. Like, I want to have my own solo thing. I did all this. I don't need you. Like, I want to do my own thing.
So is this where he gave you a new name? That bitch, who did she?
Yeah. No, he just kept saying you could go just by Elisa, but you have to maybe have a band and, be more like a female version of me. And I was like, I don't even know your music. I really didn't know any Prince music. Now I know Prince music.
Right.
Later on in life, I got back in touch with him. And when he asked me to join his band this time, I said, yes. Please. I need to work. So let's work. And then off I went. 2009 to 2014, toured Abu Dhabi, Paris, Australia. We did Welcome to America tour, which was in Chicago and LA. And it was like the best experience of my life.
Well, so just tell us a little bit about so no, I'm not going to be Elisa.
Right.
So you say no, and so what do you go on to do between that time and
So
and
the
when you
record
went
came
back?
out. It didn't do great. I left Chrysalis, and I signed with A&M. And I did a whole album with Rick Chudikoff and Peter Bonetta.
Yeah.
They had worked with Smokey Robinson, which is funny because Serena was just in here.
Just in here. She was
works
touring with
Smokey.
Smokey Robinson, right? Yeah.
It's such a small world. And they produced a whole album. It was all pop, very Mariah Carey type music. And the record company was scared to put it out because at the time Sheryl Crow was out and there was a lot of alternative.
Oh, right.
So the
everything
radio
kind of
stations
switched,
would
right? Because
just-
all of a sudden right there,
just
pop was
switched.
gone. It was like either
It's
you
like-
were like kind of hip hop or you
Right.
were like grungy, rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't working with Prince then. I kind of just parted ways, and he did call me like a year after, and I was dating this psycho killer, and he
Been
wanted
there.
me to come to Minnesota to play him my music and what I was doing, and I said that I couldn't do that because he was so jealous. I didn't want to leave. And he's like, well, I have a girlfriend. Why should it matter? And we can't be friends. And I'm like, we can be friends, but I can't come stay at your house. I'm sorry. So I said no to him quite a lot, which I think he respected because 20 years later, when he asked me to join his band and come back, he said to the band, he said, if there's anybody in this world you're going to meet that has the most beautiful spirit and is so honest, it's Elisa.
Oh.
And so he always trusted me. He always said, if anybody's going to tell me the truth, it's Elisa. So I'd always be the one they'd look at in rehearsals when Prince would have us write notes.
Yeah.
And like, this is what we're going to do on this song. And write it down. Don't forget. And everybody had to write it down. But then he would change it and we'd write something new.
Okay.
And then he'd go back to the first thing that he told us and say, well, you guys wrote it down. What was it? And we're like, but the last time was the other way. So nobody wanted to sit. And I'd raise my hand and I'd go, they'd look at me like, raise your hand, Elisa, raise your hand, Elisa. And I'm like, well, you did tell us to do it that way 2 days ago. But then yesterday, you remember you came in and you told us to do it this way. See, I have the notes. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, let's do it that way. So I was like, all right, I'll be the girl. But we had such a great friendship.
Yeah.
He's such a fun, loving guy and so giving and just so talented. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's so amazing. You know, I was talking to, who was I talking to? I was talking to another friend, and we were just talking about kind of the way the world is now, how once upon a time when you were a star, you were a star. And like, what does it mean to be a star now? And it's just so interesting because I think that Prince is like probably one of the last of those
Right.
people who are truly universal stars, whether or not
Yes.
you listen to their music. Like if you're 2, you know who they are. If you're like 98, you know who they are. You can hum along to, you know, like, and it's just.
Does it seem like there's so many artists out now that you can't just latch onto one and love one?
Well, but also because I think that there's just too many,
Outlets.
like you're listening to things, I'm listening to things.
Right.
Like once upon a time, there were 3 networks.
Right.
There were
So much
5, you know, there were
information.
like maybe in your town, there were like 2 top 40
Stations,
stations. There was 1 MTV.
Right.
And so we were all listening to
Being
the same thing. But
channeled
now
the same
you're on
way.
your Spotify and I'm listening to things on YouTube and
So much to choose from.
and so it kind of, I think it's really weird because it kind of, I don't know. I think it's a good and a bad thing, right? Because you can find your niche,
Right.
And if you find your niche and you can like build your fan base in your niche, you're good. But
Right.
at the same time, it's like, don't you want everyone to like sing along to your songs?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, and then there's definitely a lot more opportunities for independent artists nowadays, but there's a lot of choices. So at the days of the whole star thing, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's ever going to happen again.
No, I think it's over. I think it's over.
over.
We've seen it and it's done, and that era is closed.
And it's sad. Like, okay, I love the Super Bowl halftime show because
Yeah.
of the technical stuff and the lights and the sound, you know, everything was beautiful. But I get so angry when it's not live. Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
working with Prince, it's just like watching his Super Bowl performance,
Yeah.
knowing that it was raining out and he was still shredding the guitar and he was still singing live and he was still dancing.
What year did he do the Super Bowl? What
did he do?
What year did he? I remember
Oh,
his
God.
Super Bowl.
What was
What
it, 2006, I
Six?
think,
Yeah.
or something?
You weren't with him yet. You
I
weren't
wasn't
back
with
when
him
we ran
yet. Maybe it was 2007 or 8. I joined in 2009.
Okay,
so
it's like maybe a little
sometime
after that.
before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And the girls that I sang with, Liv Warfield and Shelby J, Shelby did the Super Bowl with him, and she said it was the best day of her life. Like, just his being with him and his band was like an outer body experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in other bands. I sang with Savage Garden. I sang with a girl named Billie Myers who had a hit, one hit.
Right.
But she was very nice. But yeah, it was kind of interesting, the whole thing of being the lead singer.
Yeah.
And then taking the background part.
Uh-huh.
And I loved being the background.
Did you?
Because I didn't have to go to interviews and wake up and I could actually explore the city and not have to just be on a regimented schedule.
Right.
It's so demanding, and your life gets so taken over by so many different people. And I kind of liked stepping back and
just kind of being able to come to
being
work,
able
do
to
your
be
job,
real.
and then like
have
checking
a
it
life.
out. So speaking of that, like your life outside of it, how, like, say, because I always am so curious, like when I speak to the people I know and friends who've worked with, you know, big
Artists.
names, right? Like the Smokies, and like you don't really get much bigger than Prince. As far as doing your own thing and wanting to do things outside, is that a helpful thing, or does it kind of hurt you to a certain extent because you're like, oh, you're that, you maybe do get
I'll
pigeonholed?
tell you what happened to me and my personal experience. My whole life, I wanted to be a big star. I wanted to be Barbra Streisand.
Okay.
And the record company basically looked at me when I was 16 and said, you have time to be Barbara. Just be Madonna right now. You know, you'll fit into this realm perfectly. And it really wasn't my thing. But yet I did it because I knew that's what the record company wanted.
Yeah.
And when I met Prince and I saw how he lived and how he had to go to a movie after the movie started and he had to leave before the movie ended. And I'd go to have dinner with him at a restaurant and people would just stare at us. And I started to not like the idea of stardom.
Right.
And what it did. And I saw his loneliness and I saw how he was reaching out to be my friend because he knew that I was just a normal person. Like, he'd call me up on the phone in the middle of the night, what'd you do today? And I'm like, took the dog to the groomer. Well, what's so great about that? And went to the store. He goes, I said, it's boring stuff. No, tell me. And he'd want me to, live my life and tell him about it. And I felt sad for him, and I felt sad for myself. Like, I'd gone on the road, and I'd been in hotel rooms and done shows where everybody loves you while you're on stage.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you leave the stage and you're stuck in your room and you can't associate with those people because you have to be the star.
Right.
I didn't like being separated. I felt very lonely. And it was, personally for me, I felt like, I don't know if I want this as bad as somebody like him. You know, it really takes a special person to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Because it's a very always about
the self.
and I couldn't do. I was too much of a people person and too open. I'm an open book.
Totally.
Well,
I heard a doorbell. Oh, special guest.
612 area code. That's Minnesota.
Oh my goodness, Jellybean.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm wonderful, Jellybean. This is Jordan, and I have Elisa Fiorillo here as well in the studio.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Thanks so much for joining us. Sue-Ann, actually, she called in. She couldn't make it into she double booked, the woman, and she couldn't make it into the studio. So we just finished talking about her, but I'm so glad you could join us. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
So we were talking. So you were at the tribute on Tuesday because none of us went.
Oh, okay.
I was invited, but I couldn't go.
I had a gig. I was in New York playing Birdland.
Okay.
That's
well,
my
there you
story.
go.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
sticking
Sticking
to it. So tell us all about it. How was it? Who wore it best?
It was a great time. It's good to see old friends, together, especially, and what the purpose for, just, because Prince made us all famous.
Yeah.
So, it was really about that, and we had some major stars join in. We had Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. We had John Legend, and I'm sure I'm leaving somebody else out, but but it was really good. It was really a great time and stuff.
Awesome.
And we had all.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We had all the original members at the time, with the exception of Jesse Johnson. He kind of flaked out at the last minute, but our touring guitarist Troy Ruffin held it down pretty good for us. So
That's
it worked
wonderful.
out. And then the Revolution, and Sheila was a great musical director. Her band is great. So it was a great time all the way around. It's going to air April 21st on CBS.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. Well, listen, we were all telling our Prince origin stories. Mine started at a record store and ended with a record player. Mm-hmm. Yours started...
Jeez. That's pretty good. Mine started years ago when we were like 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, and I actually used to play basketball with him in his dad's driveway.
I played basketball with him too.
No, did you?
He's good. He was so good.
So yeah, he was really good. Especially considering how short he was.
I
he
know.
Was a very good basketball player. People don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then after that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then after that, just watching. We had rival bands. I was in Flight Time. We were 15. He was in Grand Central, and just seeing like a 13-year-old kid like that, man, just shred a guitar like it wasn't nothing. I mean, he sounded like Santana. He's 13 years old, so
wow.
It was crazy, man.
Wow. That's so amazing. We were just talking about just how so much of the business is not just talent, but also timing, right? Because I've had this conversation actually offline with Sue Ann about how interesting it is that, like, if you weren't kind of like in that place in Minnesota at that particular time, right? Like if you were born like a few years earlier or a few years later, it would have been a complete misconnection.
It's a different thing, yeah. Well, for prime example, my mom moved me here from Chicago at 12, 13 years old to keep me out of the games.
Okay.
And so that virtually saved my life, because if I had stayed in Chicago, I wouldn't be on this phone line with y'all.
Wow.
I'd probably be dead,
Yeah.
And I came here and I was just fortunate to grow up with people like Prince and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Morris, all us as kids. We came up, playing, having the same passion for music and getting our craft together and trying to perfect it. And here we are today,
And here you are today. So what was like that moment when you guys like realized, oh my God, like we've made it? You know what I mean? Like what was that moment, or when was that moment?
Well, my first moment of it is Prince took us. We were unexpectedly at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit in 1981, and they had no idea. At this time, "Get It Up" was a really hot song on the radio and everything,
mm-hmm.
and the fans had no idea that the time was coming. And Prince had a way of doing that. He fooled people and stuff. So anyway. I'll never forget, in Joe Louis Arena, we came on, and you got to realize, I'm a snotty-nosed kid from Minneapolis. I was just used to playing like little clubs and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So just the roar of the crowd of 26,000 people, when we struck up the first note, and they realized it was the time, and they lost it. People lost it, and so I guess that's my first defining moment of that. Hey, maybe we got something going here,
Yeah.
But yeah.
That
was my first moment of it.
That's actually really cool. And another question I've been dying to ask you, because I usually ask this of people, like when they have songs that are so big and they've been around for so long, right? Do you get sick of playing the same crap every single? I mean, like I would think of, because I even think, I'm just a cabaret singer, and there's like certain songs. It's like, oh my God, if I ever hear that song again, I'm good. And it's like, and I want to shoot myself. But like in your case, like when it's a hit, you really don't have that option. Like
we don't. Yeah, we really don't have that option. But you know what? Fortunately, we have enough cool ass songs that they tend not to. They tend not to get on my nerves too bad. I know what you mean, but. With our stuff, I've been playing it, damn near 40 years, so it's cool.
Yeah, totally. So
but I know what you mean. Sometimes you just, you stuck with it, and you just like, oh, if I play this song one more time, I'll kill myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I've even like been in, in theater productions, and like there's long runs, and you're just like, oh my goodness, here comes that part of the show.
Right.
I've now done this, 85 times in a row.
Oh God! But see, and the other dynamic to it too, though, you got to realize this is my livelihood. So there are worse jobs.
This is true. This is very true.
Prince would do. He'd have his normal obvious ones, but then he would pull out stuff all the time. Some of his not so obvious hits.
Yeah.
And he gets pleasure out of that. So the other stuff he just kind of, dealt with it.
Just kind of did that on autopilot.
We played Dolphin. I mean, that's like so. And it would be funny because the background singers and I'd be like making noises.
Yeah.
Like, who writes a song about a dolphin? And it actually is cool.
Wow.
But it's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I can't wait to see the Grammy tribute, and I'm mad that I didn't go now.
I'm sad that I couldn't.
But thank you for dialing in. I really, really appreciate it. What do you guys have coming up in the immediate future?
The immediate future, the time is going to be we're going to be Beverly Hills, playing a show in Beverly Hills on the 14th, Valentine's Day, and then the next night we have Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Mohegan Sun Casino and stuff.
Are you guys going to
and
be at
then
the
we have another
Saban?
day. I don't know where that is in Beverly Hills, but one of them theaters in Beverly Hills. It's a whole like funk
I
thing.
like the Saban a lot. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's what we probably do.
Hey, Jellybean, you got to tell Morris that one day I have to come in and sing Love Machine with you guys.
Oh,
Graffiti
wow.
Bridge.
Oh, you went way back there, honey.
Love Machine.
I'll tell you.
No, but
we've never played that song in concert.
It goes well with Tonight, living in a fantasy. When he would do the piano thing, I'd be under the stage go, the love machine. Or no, Hot Thing. It was with Hot Thing. Hot Thing, love machine.
That's good.
My grandmom almost disowned me from that song.
Wow.
I did not know what Morris was saying back to me. All I got was the words that I was supposed to say.
You liked it, huh? Okay.
And Prince totally took the Morris part out, and then I heard what Morris was saying at the end. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no.
Wow, that's great.
Yowzer.
I'll tell him.
Tell him. We have to do it sometime.
Oh, my God. Are you guys going to be do you guys have any Vegas dates on the calendar in the near future?
Not yet. I'm hoping, because I love Vegas, man. I'm hoping that later on in the year we will, but right now we don't.
Well, you'll definitely have to let us know, because I want to see this. I want to see Elisa sit in.
You'll definitely know, bro. Trust me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much for dialing in. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Take care of yourself.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So what's on your agenda now? I told you I ran into Joey Garden. He said you're going to be at the Tuscany this month.
Yes, I'll be there Saturday the 15th. It's, I think, 7 to 11, doing jazz, because I love my jazz. Then on the 22nd, I'm at the Sterling Club, which is a private club at the
I haven't been
Canterbury.
to the Sterling Club
yet.
yet. No, I haven't. I haven't yet. And so I understand that they closed for a minute and reopened.
Yes, and they reopened a long time actually.
Okay.
I used to work there almost every Saturday night, right when I got the Prince gig with Kelly Clinton. Who's big time.
Yeah, I know
my
Kelly.
best friend. In town. And so Sterling Club the 22nd, then. The 28th is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I'll be 20 again. And then March 25th, I'll be at the Italian American Club in the Sinatra Room doing a trio type thing. But I'm going to do a little bit of R&B, a little pop, a little jazz.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And it's going to be great.
Speaking of Kelly, so I moved here just as you guys were closing the First Ladies of
Las Vegas
Entertainment. So I've seen clips of it. I missed it.
Such a good show.
Do you guys think you'll revive it?
I would love to. We just need to find a venue that'll support it. And that's hard to do in this town. It's sad that, shows don't. It really takes a lot of money.
It does.
And a lot of time to develop a show.
Yeah.
So, well, we're hoping.
Yeah.
We're looking for other places,
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get back to that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to come and see you at the Tuscany.
Please.
And and your daughter, congratulations on her audition. I hope that all goes well with that.
I hope she gets in.
Yay. Well, everyone's done their plug. This Saturday, I'm doing, and I'm going to have to read it because I literally just booked it as we were coming in. I'm going to be at the Eclipse Theater. I'm doing a fundraiser. So I'm very charitable. I'm actually the board president of a LA-based nonprofit called the Entertainment Aid Alliance. And so we've been around for like 30 years. It was started actually as an HIV and AIDS charity by a group of folks out of the studio system. And it's now grown, and we give money for programs for a lot of things, whether it's healthcare, whether it's arts education, etc. So I get this call yesterday asking if I would do this fundraiser at the Eclipse Theater, which I guess is downtown. I'm still learning my way around town.
Know.
I'm still learning my way
I
around
don't
town.
get
I
out
think
much.
it's somewhere. Children have that effect
yes,
on people,
they do.
I think. And it's supporting an organization called the Horizon Ridge Wellness Clinic.
Oh.
So it's their 5th annual Las Vegas National Black HIV and AIDS Awareness Day 2020. Wow. And so it's going to be held at the Eclipse Theater from 12 to 4.
Okay.
And they're going to have a reception afterwards. There's a Black men's round table, which sounds a lot fancier than I imagine it would be. I don't know. They're going to do a symposium. And so I'm going to be performing. Treasure, whose band Sue Ann sings with, is going to be performing. Kiss Kiss, Patrice Monsell, and Cece Spencer. And then at 8 o'clock, Tony Terry is performing.
Oh, wow.
Right? I've never met. Have you ever met him?
No,
I never met
have.
him. But I love that song. And when they were telling me that, I was like, put it on my Spotify.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, when I'm with you.
Oh, you know what I forgot I'm doing? I'm doing this Saturday. I'm singing backgrounds for Denise Williams and GQ at that Love thing at the Orleans.
Oh, that'll be
so
fun.
That'll be fun.
When is that? From when until when?
I think it starts at 7 or 7:30.
Okay.
So we're doing Let's Hear It for the Boy, and it's gonna take a miracle.
I love it.
Love her.
Oh, that'll be so cool. So go down to the Orleans.
Yeah.
And come up to the Eclipse.
Okay.
And yeah, this
we're
has been
just busy folks.
Busy folks. It's
Singing.
actually really cool, right? When you have so much going on that you
Yes.
forget what's going
Yes.
on, right? Like it beats like the absolute alternative, right?
Right.
It
Of
beats
being completely bored and depressed and just going, when's my next gig?
Totally. What do you have a preference of the tickets? Like you've done like the rock stuff. You've been like a pop princess.
Yeah,
you do like
I
a lot
kind
of
of
like Great
to do
American
it all,
Song.
and that's
songs
always
like-
been my problem because I love jazz, and I was in the Bruce Harper Big Band for 4 years. I'm no longer with the band, so that part's over. But the jazz has always been my main love. But then I
Yeah.
love pop and I love R&B, so it's like, ooh, what should I pick?
Yeah.
So kind of do it all, and I love Barbra Streisand still.
Well, there you go. And she kind of does it all.
She does.
Indeed.
So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us
thank
on our
you for
very
having
first
me.
show. I
Yay,
really appreciate
congratulations
it.
on your show.
Indeed. And thank you all for,
you're
for
wonderful.
listening. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, join us again next week. For Showtime with Jordan Von Haslow and friends here on Hot 702.5 FM. Thank you again to my friends, Elisa Fiorillo.
Elisa. You saying Alyssa. Elisa Fiorillo.
Elisa Fiorillo,
Jelly.
my oldest friend in the world, Ann Carwell and Jellybean Johnson. And we're out until next Monday. Talk to you later. Bye.